This should have been an important day, if not the most important day of this channel. I was waiting for this restaurant to seize the day and destroy the entire ranking system and all the work I have done so far trying to put this list together. I thought she came, she saw, and she conquered. But no, sadly, it is not the case. This is not me trying to weasel my way out of giving Banh Anh Em the credit that I thought it deserved. This is not an attempt for me to hold the ranking list in any high regard. Frankly, this list means very little outside of the Reddit community, if not at all. And to be fair, Banh Anh Em, actually let's just call it Bae. Bae came this close to taking the crown at the top of the list as the #1 Vietnamese restaurant in New York City, in my humble, personal, non-biased opinion. Also, in fairness, I have given myself and Bae 5 chances to decide if she's worth it in the end. The decision keeps flipping back and forth. Enough blue balling. My name is Tu. These are the few words I have on Banh Anh Em. Bae. If you have known my list for years now, I would wonder why Bae got more than one chance to make a case for itself before entering the list. It would just accumulate more and more biases favoring this restaurant. Yes, I agree, but let me cook you this one counter argument. It is actually under tremendous scrutiny and brain power on my end to make a critical judgment on Bae. Not the judgment whether Bae is the best, but the judgment that if I like it the most. However, there are a few reasons why this specific joint attracts this level of attention. A sister restaurant to Bang, a heavy hitter on my list, ranking at #2. It is not something I take very lightly. Bang makes food that I like. Reputation preceded them. There was incredibly hype generated when Bang first announced it would open a sister restaurant downtown. That was the first for me. With an established expectation from the public, from Instagram to my Reddit post discussion, it was something I had not experienced before. To an opening of a Vietnamese restaurant in New York, it means going to Bae blindly was impossible. It was a snapshot of different offerings on their social media building up to this soft launch, and those teases they are big offerings. Let me put it in a different way. If they just decide to push out one of those items to the menu, it would have been enough reason for me to pay them a very close attention. So yes, the hype was real. People lining up to a soft launch. Sure, it's not like lining up to buy an iPhone 10 on launch day. The line was more like people waiting to get a COVID test, a CDMD in October 2020. That was the reality. And I never entered a Vietnamese restaurant like this before. I took all the proper precautions. I took the vaccines, I wore a mask, I measured my temperature out of my forehead. I went to their soft opening 3 times and then twice after they officially opened. I held this video for weeks until they anchor down the menu. There's a lot to talk about because there was a lot of effort and love put into this restaurant. It muddies my view time after time because I generally have a very difficult time placing this on the list. It was more than some of its parts. However, I can't ignore some parts of this whole. Keeping with the traditions of this channel, what to order from this place. Based in a very similar vein of operation to Bang, in that they rotate their offerings as time goes by. Bang has a core menu with weekend special rotated. I think Bae will rotate their offerings every season, similarly to Mom. Yeah, it is almost like a fashion house with a new season lookbook. So let's take a look at the book and pick out my favorite pieces. Soy cell Hanoi sticky rice with mung bean, fried onions, corn, and pork floss. I think this carries over from Bang's heritage line. Very carby base with the saltiness kicked in. fry to oblivion. Then the fried onion just send you to heaven. Pate show, puff pastry, pork and pate. This is a result of a grave divorce between French and Viet in 20th century. But unlike all the historical consequences, this is actually quite nice. It is very similar to Haitian patties. It is fatty all around. Thịt kho, caramelized pork belly with rice. If you're East Asian or Southeast Asian, chances are your country has a version of this. So yeah, at face value, it's sweet and sour and fatty. Probably one of my favorite things growing up. Next, bánh cuốn Hanoi. So similar to xôi xéo, another familiar choice in many Hanoians' minds for their daily breakfast. Steamed rice roll with stuffed ground pork, served with fried onions and dipping sauce, which is essentially watered down vinegar and fish sauce. Bánh bèo, a Huế special, steamed rice thingy with toppings. 4 plates for $13. Trust me, I had worse. Way worse. Bonnet, another gift to remember me by from the French colonial superpower. Steak, eggs, pate and ham served on an iron skillet with bread. This is another breakfast or lunch classic specifically for weekend occasions, especially for some family willing to splurge a bit more or craving something other than the primordial bowls of pho during the weekdays. Chả cá lá vọng, arguably one of the showstoppers. I talk about this heavily on this channel before, so I won't repeat myself much here. It's turmeric fish with rice noodles and pungent shrimp paste. This thing is smoky and smells amazingly, but you will leave that restaurant with 2 things: a very strong aftertaste from that shrimp paste and a smoke lingering on your clothes. Phở Bắc or phở đặc biệt. Let's get into these because many of you are interested in this. Compared to Bang's offering, this is an improvement. A decent bowl, but not great. Too greasy at the top. The noodles are correct. The broth is hard to discern swimming among that much fat. The meat is excellent. I never liked brisket cut in my pho, but that is just my northern gripe. It's a mixed offering, sitting outside my top 5 bowls of pho in the city. Phở Bắc is a northern bowl. Phở đặc biệt, I think it's a southern style bowl. Bánh ướt chồng, a second showstopper on this list. Ướt means wet, chồng means stacking or husband, depending on the context. Once you see this thing coming out to the table, you will know which meaning takes priority. Very similar to rice rolls, but you do it yourself. It comes with arrays of toppings or stuffings, so you can roll your joints and enjoy whichever way you like. Bizarre and gimmicky? Absolutely. But that is inherently the dish. So don't blame the man, blame the game. Bánh mì, another strong heritage item from Bang with a few more stuffing variants. Crispy pork belly, bánh mì, OG bánh mì, barbecue pork bánh mì would be my picks. Bánh mì Pate Hải Phòng, bánh mì with pate from Hải Phòng region. It is a very simple thing. It was a novelty back in 2006 in Hanoi because it just looked kind of funny. Very popular after school snack because it's essentially a very skinny baguette holding pate, hot sauce and sometimes pork floss. 2 of those and a C2 iced tea bottle, you're good to go. This is a love letter to the people in the know, and I'm all here for it. To keep a clean record, this originated in Hải Phòng in the 80s and is known as bánh mì que or bánh mì cay. Cay means spicy, que means stick, so go figure. All coffee offerings are generally solid, though I don't know why would you do that at 6 p.m. unless you pre-gaming. There are more things on this menu, but I think those are my favorite. Bae has truly carried the spirit and the intentions of the original restaurant on Amsterdam Avenue. It gives you the Vietnamese food experience in a very well-cared package. It doesn't just serve us food, it educates us in in its cooking. In this city, 8,500 miles away from its birthplace, it does it with so much care and conviction to preserve the dish authenticity. It will succeed in pleasing both the people in the know and the people who are about to. And that is a huge achievement. This, to my mind, it is a current golden recipe to win me over as a Vietnamese restaurant in New York City. Of course, I am out of my depth, attempting to understand the efforts and hard work that this team has done to get this thing off the ground, just as much as Bang, just as much as Mom. These newcomers are what this cuisine needs, in my opinion, to raise the discussion level with all the restaurants that carry the airs of, oh my god, I just got a reservation at blah 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 on Open Table and Resi. It is time for you and me to go out for Vietnamese food, not because it is cheap, but because it is simply amazing. Okay, maybe some of you are not in that mindset yet. So that brings me to this portion. Why am I placing Bay at number 3? This may or may not age terribly in the future. After 5 visits and seeing this menu maturing and stabilizing on launch day, I have a few thoughts recurring in my head that shape this decision. First, you want to talk money? Okay, let's talk money. In terms of dollar to dollar, this menu is incredibly priced, arguably much better than Mom, who is sitting at number 1 on this list. Looking at this menu, there are items that are in $15 range and $20+ range, but wait till you see the size of the items. They are meant to be shared, just like how many Vietnamese consume their food. Even a grown-ass Viet adult living alone will try to put food in different plates and bowls and then onto a tray. He or she will still turn up a rice cooker, eat from a rice bowl and chopstick. Why? So the leftovers are easier to cover before it goes into the fridge. And at Bay, these are relatively big portions. The ambience, seating, staffing are simply put nice. Sure, some of you lot feel icky about paying premium to sit on a plastic chairs in the basement at Mom, so this arrangement will probably be easier to recommend and take your non-Viet friends to dinner. It is funny because I always have to throw caveats and disclosure before I take someone to Mom, but no, this is not the case for Bay, unless your friends constantly ask for if this place is chic enough, or should I dress up for this? Since they don't take reservation unless you come to the counter and scan the QR code, the wait could be 1 to 1.5 hours, and after 5 occurrences, the wait is consistent. The hype and the love are real. I hope they will never fall into that Open Table and Resi trap cycles. If the conversation about getting a reservation at your restaurant is about adorning an Amex Platinum or using sites like Book It For Me or TableTurn.nyc, which is essentially a real-time bot to babysit open slots or appointment traders, you are doing something wrong, and you are doing it for the money. Sadly, that will be the conversation we will have one day if Vietnamese restaurant get a star or the cuisine rise the rank of importance in the cities. Yet, that's the trade-off in the future. The glass of water. Okay, bear with me. I am not crazy. Okay, not yet. This glass of water, this glass right here, with this pattern is inspired by the lead painted drinking glass era. I grew up with this thing. You simply do not know about this circle pattern and color arrangement unless you were there in the late 80s and the 90s. There are constant display of these magic moments that will gain all my attention. Sure, it is nostalgia. Sure, it is personal. But that is precisely what makes my list mine. And you're probably banking on getting something out of this because you will see all of these restaurants through my lens, a Vietnamese person's lens. However, as disclosed many times, this list ranks the food over everything else. These thoughts I just shared just now, although be very valid to many, are mere distraction, at best secondary nuance separators. I come to restaurants to eat. The food and the menu have to carry the load. Overall, Bay food ranks third on this list. While everything is very tasty, it is indeed quite greasy. The indulgence does come through most lovingly, but also so is my cholesterol level. Sure, you may say that is a chip on my shoulder, but that is simply not how Vietnamese food is known for. Vietnamese food is balanced. People say it's healthy and it stems from a good cause. This is food mostly meant for daily consumption, and it cannot be at this level of love and grease. Sure, that's why it tastes so fucking good. I have not had this problem going in with Bang and Mom, why all three represent the same level of mastery. TLDR, this is why Bae is third on the list. Okay, that was not so short. I apologize. I wrote this script this long simply so I can get a video out of it. So, joke's on you. Please subscribe. The biggest takeaway after going to Banh Anh Em, it is time for you and me to go out for Vietnamese food, not because it is cheap, but because it is simply amazing.